Welcome back to Clicks and Bricks, everybody. My name is Ken, where every day we talk about business and technology. If you like business and technology, please hit that like and subscribe button so that you get notified when we go live, although we do go live almost every day at noon. Today, I'm super excited to have Aaron from Agogie Sports Apparel as our guest today. But before we jump in and bring Aaron on, if you'd like to join my text line community, it's 314-370-2871. If you send me any question to that text line, I will answer to the best of my ability. It can be about business, technology, or just life questions in general. I won't try to sell you anything on that text line. I will send you one or two tips, updates, or crypto news throughout the month. Today's episode is brought to you by Inlink.com. My Inlink.com account is inlink.com/Ken. Got all my social media profiles, my TikTok, my podcast, my Facebook, Instagram, everything you can think of, including my Cash App and Venmo IDs on there. But I'd like to just jump right in. So, Sean, can we bring Aaron on? How you doing, Aaron?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fantastic. So I met Aaron, I think, probably 2016, 2017, or earlier.
Way earlier. You met me 2000.
Okay. So in St. Louis, we have an incubator called T-Rex, and there's currently about 300 companies working out of T-Rex.
I believe so. It's grown quite a bit since it opened.
And the founder, one of the founders of Hosterian, Brian Matthews, is one of the founders there, and he also is in Cultivation Capital, which is a VC firm. Did you go through Cultivation Capital as well, Aaron, or you were just in T-Rex through some other?
We did Capital Innovators here in St. Louis, and then Jumpstart Foundry out of Nashville.
Awesome. So can you tell the audience a little bit about, so that's seed angel investment round, right? So very, very early in the investment. Did you go through Can you tell the audience a little bit about how you went through, you got your product together and you went through the journey of, okay, I'm going to raise money to start this business, because I'm sure a lot of folks are super curious about that process. So can you tell the audience a little bit about?
So I would say we were not a typical startup in that perspective. So we had the ability to self-fund and debt finance for a decent amount of time before we raised any capital. When you look over the lifespan of Agogie, we've raised a little under $1 million currently to date in equity, and we've debt financed about $3 million total. So we've been able to do a non-traditional adventure in the fundraising. It's still hard, regardless if you're going debt or equity, to raise that money.
Yes, it's always a challenge, because you got to convince people. Not only is your idea great, but you got the right team behind it, right? On that, how important is it to convince the venture capitals about your team versus your product or service?
I would say any equity investor is going to weigh the team the most.
Yes,
out
it's
of
always a
any
challenge. You got to
portion of the
convince
business.
people.
So
not
having
only
a
is your
strong
idea great, but you
team
got the
that
right
can
team behind
execute
it, right?
and drive the vision
On
of the
that,
company
how important
is
it to
almost
convince the venture
more
capitals
important than the actual
about your
product.
team versus your product? And I think, and I don't know a whole lot of VCs, but I know a good handful of them, right? Just because of the world that I live in, and I think the reason it be back to me up here is that they're more interested in the team because they're going to expect the startup's going to pivot at some point anyway, right? And Agogie took a pivot at one point, right? If I recall correctly.
So Agogie came out of an original company where you and I actually met, was Hey Let's Train. And while we were doing that particular startup, and that startup was around personalized fitness with celebrity athletes, I noticed athletes trying to put resistance on the body outside of a gym, and then I had the shower thought of resistance bands and pants. And I started with the founding. I had two NFL players that gave us the founding capital to do Agogie, and then it's kind of grown from there. So pivoting from a tech play into a consumer product play backed up by technology and digital marketing. And then even more recently with the iOS 14 update, we've even had to pivot our model slightly to something we've been testing in the background that's now become the lead channels of revenue versus a digital marketing play.
Fantastic. So your clothing line has resistance built in, and resistance training is probably something that you could do a whole, not only just an episode on, but a whole series of episodes on, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm used to a little bit of resistance training. So we do it. I do a lot of negative work right now because I've had a lot of surgeries this year from my. I had a couple boxing matches in 2019, right before COVID, which led me to a few surgeries this year. Well, at downtime, I'm like, okay, we can't do anything, so I might as well get fixed. But I know we do a lot of negative work, and like going backwards from the lifting. And it's very similar to resistance training. Can you tell us a little bit about why it is a benefit to have the resistance inside the clothing?
The major benefit really is the ability to put resistance on the body in a natural way and moving naturally without impacting the way your form or function really is from a humanistic perspective. The longer term benefits of wearing the resistance all day long or even during the training, in a training perspective, it increases your athletic output in a less amount of time. And then from an all-day wear perspective, we have some initial studies that show that it increases heart blood flow, calorie burn, muscle activation, fat burn simply by putting on the product and wearing it throughout the day. So there's a lot of different health benefits, and we have seen from our customers the benefits that they've shared our stories with us about, and it's just simply amazing to help so many people with the same product.
Right. So I know that you obviously spearheading into sports, but I'm a little familiar with compression and stuff like that. Not overly. I do compression on my hips and my shoulders and stuff, but I go to a place called Sub-Zero to do that. Would there be a benefit to somebody that sits in an office for like 8 hours to have a pair of compression pants to help maybe blood flow and things like that?
So I would say the largest misconception of Agogie is to the point that we're an athletically driven company. Athletics is about 1% of our total revenue.
Oh, wow.
We sell more in the broad-based consumer market. One of our largest demographics is a 45 to 54-year-old woman. And then in the male perspective, it's a 25 to 34 as our top demographic in the male perspective. And they're really using it in that all-day perspective. Oh, wow. We have a lot of nurses, doctors, first responders wearing it under their uniforms to get that resistance workout while they're doing their daily life. So it's more of a broad-based consumer company than one would expect by looking at what it is. And from a compression perspective, there's no compression in the product. It does fit tight to the body, but it's not compressed like we all know compression does.
Right. Does it, I know, so my wife's all about the TikTok pants, right? Have you justified any of your current growth? Because you're on a pretty, almost a hockey stick growth pattern right now, right? Your growth is going pretty substantial. You count any of that kind of marketing to your growth as well?
We do a fair amount in the social space. We spent a lot of money in the digital realm, and it 100% led to the hockey stick that we are currently on and continuing that journey. And
right.
We're increasing our omnichannel approach over time here.
So, and I'm assuming that your pants also, or your clothing, because it is form-fitting and not necessarily compression, but it also has a physical appearance increase as well for people, I would assume. Like you probably look better in the clothing than you would in a baggy, like I do now in my baggy button-up, right? So it hides a little bit of the extra stuff for you.
We get a lot of customers saying that they're cute and fashionable, and
yeah.
we are changing or disrupting fashion and function at the same time a little bit. We are a slightly different looking product versus a yoga type or compression type for sure.
Right. So, and I would love to hear the numbers. If you don't want to say them, I think you can use multipliers. I think, everybody hears like the Cardones of the world saying, 10x, and if you're not trying to double your revenue, but that's freaking hard to do, right? And you were in business a long time before you saw those 2x, 3x, and I think you said 8x, or 4x when we were pre-interview. But, if you want to share those numbers, and not necessarily like to brag, but to show people kind of what that path looked like, because it's got you're at a hockey stick right now, but you had a pretty long tail to get there, right? And I'm sure it took a lot of tenacity and grinding to get you there.
Overnight success, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of work behind that. So we are in that overnight success phase if you're looking outward or looking inward. If you're looking outward, we started the idea, was May of 2016, roughly, and we were able to get the first pre-sales going at the end of 2016. We did a whopping $4,000 in sales. 2017, we did another 40,000. 18, we did 123,000. 2019, 193. 2020, 1.2 million, and that's post coupons and discounts, and returns, and all that. So
that's income, basically.
Yeah, that was income. And then this year we're over 3 million for the year, and pathway to 5, and we will be on a pathway to 20 next year.
Right. And for those of you, the youngsters that are out there, the difference between income and revenue is income is money you actually got. Revenue is money you actually build. So if you're doing revenue numbers and you're raising money, you can do all your returns and all your losses well on your revenue number. But your income number is just how much money you actually got to keep. So I know it took me a little while scratching my head when I was younger to figure out what the difference between revenue and income was. But it is a substantial difference. And another one you probably need to learn is markup and margin. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but it's a huge mistake that you can make if you mix those two phrases up. You will lose your job if you mix those up on both of those terms, right? Revenue and income, and margin and markup. So learn those words, know what they mean, because they're very, very important when you're going through business, especially if you're going to be asking people to help you raise money. So we are pretty far into the show. I always like to ask the question about, because our listeners are, range anything from, people that are successfully running businesses now all the way to guys that are thinking about getting started. So through this challenge, right, when you did the $4,000 in pre-sales, actually, let's talk about that a little bit, because I know that pre-sales scare the hell out of people, right? They're like, hey, I want to try to do this, but I've got to get my product in, and I have to have it before I can sell it. And I think if you're in this game, you've probably tried drop shipping and realized that you're going to return everything that Alibaba takes 7 months to ship to somebody, and it's not a good way to make money. So, getting inventory in, spending the money on sizes and colors and things like that, not knowing if you're making the right decision. Pre-sales is a great way to get started. Did you use like a Kickstarter, or did you do that in-house?
We did it in-house, and then in 2018 we did an Indiegogo, and that was about 97,000, which put us in the top 5% of Indiegogo raises at the time. I think at the time we were the second or third most successful Kickstarter kind of program in the city.
Right.
I think there was 2 above us. Anyways, the pre-sales, you just got to do it, and keep in communication with your customers on where you are in the manufacturing perspective. With a product company versus a tech company, having experience in both, you still have the same amount of money up front, because on a tech side, unless you find technical co-founders or something of that nature, if you're hiring programmers, you're going to spend just the amount of money as I had to for our initial products. So
Right.
It's still a cash-loaded business either way you go.
Yes. So on that, and you chose, when you went to Indiegogo, and I've seen a bunch of different Indiegogo and Kickstarter ads, and you raised $98,000 on your Indiegogo?
Yeah.
How much do you think you spent on the video production and promoting that Indiegogo? Was it 50% of the take, or was it 5 to 10?
We in advertising, production, everything, we spent $33,000.
$33,000 on the creation of the Kickstarter. So, a lot of people are thinking, hey, I'm going to do this Kickstarter and it's going to be great, but it's like almost everything that we see in business. And I did a show the other day about how, all these guys that are selling you stuff are just lying. They say that they're selling you a silver bullet for something, right? And Kickstarter, Indiegogo is a silver bullet, but it's not the only thing that you need, right? Just making a video and putting on a Kickstarter is a piece of the puzzle. You still got to drive traffic to that, because it's not like Groupon to where, if you have an established business and you sign up for Groupon, Groupon's promoting your business for you. But I don't think, does Indiegogo have a lot of built-in tools, or can you just pay them to advertise for you?
So there's a couple things you have to do on those type of campaigns. Where we spent all the money really was, we got the production done fairly inexpensive. My best friend's a videographer and photographer, graphic designer.
Well, you have video production in-house now, right?
We do.
Yeah.
When we spent the bulk of it, we spent $15,000 before we ever launched the campaign. So the moment we launched, we are already beating our numbers, which accelerates through their algorithm that you're a top performer, gets you on the home page. There's some benefits there. And then we actually hired an agency to work with, and they had a direct connection inside where we were able to get 2 newsletter placements through our campaign, which was a huge benefit. And then we spent the rest of the money during the campaign in advertising on Facebook and Instagram and some other places. So, it's just like anything in life. You have to spend money to make it.
Yeah, so would you recommend, if somebody was going to try to do a Kickstarter, that they hire an agency to help them, or to try to navigate those waters solo?
I would hire an agency. It's a daily grind to do a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to raise any large amount of money,
right?
It's daily work. Emails, ads, seeing what's working, turning them off, turning them on. It's like any digital campaign. You want to be on it every day.
So do they take a percentage of the outcome, or do you got to pay to play and risk all your cash up front? Both? They have both models?
Yeah.
No, or you got to... Oh, they really take it on both ends?
Yeah, you give them a retainer fee and plus a success fee.
All right. Well, that's the model to be in, I think. Take it, because they can't lose, can they?
No, and even at that, we borrowed the money from a debt financer to do the campaign.
Awesome. Well, hey, and it worked out, right? It came out. Now, I know that a lot of new business owners, and I've fallen into this trap multiple times in my life, and I like to learn the same lesson over and over before it finally just all the way sinks in, and that's pricing your product for your marketing ad spend, right? And if you've got a pretty viral product where people see it, they look good, they feel good, they talk to their friends, and they buy it, but you also probably have some kind of social media ad spend as well, right? You're not 100% organic? No? You have no ad spend?
Not at all. We spend a ton.
Okay. So like knowing your CPA and total lifetime of the value of the client, and then how do you determine what your ad spend is going to be with those other key KPIs, key performance indicators?
So we work backwards. So we know what we need to return. So our ROAS, return on ad spend, has to be even make money on the first sale. Our lifetime value for a customer currently is a little bit over $1,100. So we can do a higher CPA. However, we have a very nice CPA, and our ratio for lifetime value for cost acquisition is almost unbelievable to how ridiculous it is.
Okay.
But much like any apparel company that can come out with different products, colors, lines of that nature, once you have that consumer inside the funnel, you can increase the lifetime value dramatically by doing product drops and signature lines and things like that, versus maybe a tech company where you have the one product and you're adding on features. It's harder to build out a very large LTV unless it's an enterprise customer of some sort.
Right. And for those of you that don't know the kind of the phrases that we're throwing out, CPA is cost per acquisition. It's how much dollars in ad spend you're spending to obtain a client first, and then lifetime value of the client is once you have the client, they might have onboarded with a $80, $90 purchase, but we know that over the next 6 years, they're going to buy, 2 next Christmas on average. And, so the average value of a client for you is, did you say 1,100?
Yeah, a little over 1,100.
That's a pretty good average, right? And I know it is for the gym world. It's about the normal. Is that pretty good for a clothing line?
Yeah, it's we're a little bit above average, but it's right in the kind of the frame of an upstart brand that's not a larger, older established brand.
Right. And I think you have a pair of pants with you, right? To kind of show the audience a little bit about what the product is.
So the first product is a tight. It has resistance bands built in. So you look on the inside of the the product. You can see that it's stitched in, and it runs alongside a channel that's inside, so you can't see them. And then when you put it on, the bands stretch out, so your body's under constant resistance just by wearing it. And what that does is it activates the lower core, the lower back, your hip flexors, and all the minute muscle fibers in your legs. So you're working out simply by wearing the product. And then when you're doing athletic performance of some sort, it will increase the output, so you can actually get done more in a less amount of time.
So I'll get exercise walking to the vending machine.
Yes.
Absolutely. I need that. I need that in my life. So fantastic. And then you have pants and shirts, I'm assuming. You have just like armbands as well?
Yeah, our shirts come out next year, and then we have 9 categories of products that will come out inside the resistance category we're building.
Fantastic. Do you have any offers or anything you'd like to talk to the audience about, or just go to the website to learn more?
Go to the website, learn more. There's a chat function. His name's Zach. Just harass Zach. He loves it.
So if you want to learn more, it's agogie.com, agogie.com. I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit, Aaron. So as you were going through all of this, obviously there were moments in time to where you're like, oh shit, did I make the right decision? Am I on the right path? So can you give us your favorite tip of what you would tell a new entrepreneur, going out into this journey, on, what are some of the tips or tactics that you use to help you stay healthy and keep moving forward during this time?
Entrepreneurship is a big mind game for the most part. You have to be healthy in your head. There are days that you don't even want to get up because some things change, and it's really hard mentally. So, the one thing I've always been able to have in my life is a great support group. My wife is the biggest cheerleader, supporter that you could ever imagine. Without that support at home and in my personal life, it would have been really, really hard to get to where we are. And then externally, I've had groups of friends that are also startup founders or entrepreneurs, and we regularly get together and have confidential happy hours where we just talk through problems and try to help each other out. And I've been blessed because I do travel a lot prior to the pandemic for this. So I've built multiple groups like that around the country where even during the pandemic, I could Zoom with them and talk through things. But from a day to day, without having my wife as my support at home to get through those mentally rough days, it would have been rough.
Yeah, I talked about that yesterday with the guests too. Like my biggest supporter is my wife. I have some support groups as well. And so since we met at T-Rex, how big of a part was that in your growth of having that? Because T-Rex is an entrepreneur incubator that has multiple, and you were early at T-Rex, right?
I was an original.
So, an original person there. But there were probably 20 or 30 companies that first year that came out of T-Rex, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people may not know or have forgotten that T-Rex used to be in a different location before it is where it is. And we were in the T-Rex in that building, and then we were one of the first companies, obviously, in the new building. And what T-Rex really helped us with is, staying connected to the community, building out friendships in the community, having, that place to go every single day where you weren't at a coffee shop trying to figure it out with all the noise, and you had, nice conference rooms and things to do. And in the end, the office space was inexpensive. So we were able to build out kind of the culture that we wanted as a company in that space. And we had to finally move out because we were busting at the seams. We had a lot of the 7th floor. We had stuff sitting in the hallway. And during pandemic when no one was there, it didn't matter. But as people were coming back, and you have the entire hallway full of inventory and carts and stuff, it was getting a little ridiculous.
And then on the pandemic, and I'm going to keep stretching this out as I come up with more questions, but we're going to end it here soon. On the pandemic, a lot of companies saw devastation, but the sporting apparel and sporting equipment saw a huge growth, right? Especially things that you could do outside of the gym. Do you accredit some of the pandemic to your growth as well? Or do you think this was just the right time, right place, and you had set up the right foundation for this growth?
I think it was all of it. So we had the right foundation going. We were working with the right influencers. We had we had the strategy right. The big fundamental shift for us for the rapid growth was we were able to find financing for our marketing. Before that, we were, selling, trying to take money out of the market, or the sales to increase the marketing. And we were able to find a debt funder, Clear Bank. It's called Clear.co now. And we were able to get financing behind our marketing and just keep doubling down on it. And, in the end, that's really what led to the growth.
So they find that's hard to find, right? So can you say that name again? Because I think we probably want to put that up on the finished product. Financing for marketing dollars, it probably took you a decade to find that.
Yeah, it's kind of a newer thing. It's Clear, CLEAR.co, and direct to consumer digital native brands. It's hard to raise money for versus a technology of some sort, because it's a consumer product and it's a little bit harder. And there's not a lot of VC groups or angel groups that are.
Well, and it's hard to make on demand, right? And fulfill fast. So, venture capitalists don't like products sitting on shelf, right? And actually, any business owner doesn't like products sitting on shelf. They want to move it as fast as possible. So, and with the print on demand world with technology, that's where the majority of the funding is going. But I have never heard of a company that would finance the marketing dollars. So having one of those, you better believe I'm going to be heading to my desk really quickly and searching it and see if I'm eligible for some kind of financing for marketing dollars as well.
And we're on Shopify, amazing platform. We were on WordPress before and WooCommerce. We moved to Shopify. Getting onto that technology backbone was pivotal as well, especially for getting with ClearBank at the time. So having the right technology stack, running a consumer product, huge benefit.
Right. So let's pause there for a second, because I want to rewind just 1 second, because I'm a hosting provider, and I want to talk about that hosting stack a little bit with moving to Shopify. Obviously, because my gut is that with WooCommerce, where Shopify really knocks it out of the park, is that easy purchase. If you bought anything from any other Shopify account, your credit card's on file and all those things already, right? Is that generally the big catalyst for it?
No,
it's easy to purchase.
The biggest part was the platform itself and the actual back end versus a WooCommerce or WordPress where you had to put in all this extra stuff. Some of the times the plugins would take down your site. There was, you basically had to have your own web developer or tech team on it. Where with Shopify, it was just easier. And the reporting, the key reporting and base reporting functions were a huge portion. And then Shopify has also a capital program that you can use where companies like WooCommerce does not. And so there's different things with it. I mean, if I was running an enterprise website, Shopify would not be my choice. I would go to a hosting provider like yourself and build out the platform and the back end, the tech stack there. But for a DTC company, it just happens to be one of the best platforms out there for it.
Yeah, and I talk about Shopify a lot, and I talk about the difference between Shopify and WordPress, and we also help people on Shopify with moves, adds, and changes, because we work on websites, and I think we saw about 5 years ago that not everybody's going to host with us, so we might as well help people wherever they're hosting, right? Because a lot of the setting up payment gateways and MX records and that kind of stuff, people still need help with that, the more technical stuff within Shopify. So we help with that as well. And Shopify is a great tool with a whole bunch of just built-in stuff. So I have never been able to, and I have Shopify stores, right? I'm the president of a hosting company, and I have some Shopify stores just because it's quick, easy, and fast turnaround. So nothing there yet. I just want to say that there is a difference between the two, and always, anytime you're looking at a tech stack, do your homework, know what it is that you want at the end game, and then go for that. And I think where I've had problems with Shopify is when it's over a couple hundred products or a couple hundred SKUs. But anything under a couple hundred, I've had great luck with it within Shopify.
Yeah, we're growing past that 100 SKU mark, and we've actually integrated a full inventory management system that talks back and forth. So
Right.
we are outside Shopify very soon on the inventory perspective.
And then, but you have no storefront, so you don't have to. You don't have forks in your inventory chain. That's awesome.
Not currently. We have a distributor in South Korea. They're opening up Japan right now. We're opening an office in the UK in first quarter, doing some international growth things. So we've been able to control our inventory and how we sparse out our inventory pretty strategically.
Right. And then do you do any wholesaling accounts, or is it all direct to consumer?
No, we actually drop ship for other websites that list our products, and then we have we do have one retail store in Springfield, Virginia that sells our product inside a fitness facility, and it's facilities. It's 400,000 square feet. It holds so many different pieces of the fitness journey and sport lifestyle, and we were, lucky enough to get our product into that particular store. And pandemic obviously hurt the sales there, but we're getting back engaged with them and bringing that back online. Most of it is direct to consumer and or drop ship for somebody that purchased on another website that our product's listed on.
Fantastic. That's good stuff. So multiple lines of revenue. I think that's about all the time we have today. Do you have any tips, anything that you want to give out to the audience before we wrap up today, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Running a startup, it's exciting. It's dreadful some days. It's all the emotional roller coaster. Stay with your gut, make decisions, but use data to back up those decisions. So even for us, we have a huge data suite that's running on top of our website and our company. And so we can make educated decisions on top of our gut decisions. And just, believe in yourself, believe in your team, believe in your product, and you should be able to move it forward as long as there's market demand.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time today, Aaron. I very much appreciate it. That's it for the show today, folks. And I'll see you tomorrow. Get to work.